Year 2008 is a special year for the country Bhutan, as it is a year that marks 100 years of monarchy in Bhutan. It is also a very special year for King Jigme Singye Wangchuck, 52, the much-loved monarch, formalize his abdication and place the Raven crown on the head of his 28-year-old son, Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangchuck, as it is the public coronation ceremony of the 5th Bhutan King. He was once honored as Prince Charming and has now been acclaimed the People's King. Why is the Bhutan King so loved by his people even though he is one of the youngest monarchs in the world? Keep watching to find out more. Bhutan, the land of the Dragon Kings, a population of only around 800,000 people, overwhelms not with its traditional architecture or intriguing history, but with the nation's generosity, simplicity, and love for its traditions. Like any family, one's children can only be as good as one's parents. And for Bhutan, this little nation has been blessed with having a line of monarchs who were far-sighted, humble, and ruled the nation with the unconditional love any parent had for their child. This is no exception for the 5th ruler of Bhutan, the Dragon King, the monarch of the Kingdom of Bhutan. King Jigme Khesar received a foreign education. He studied in the United States before graduating from Magdalen College, University of Oxford. Before he was the king, he accompanied his father on his many tours throughout the kingdom to meet and speak to the people. He also officially represented Bhutan on several international events. On May 8, 2002, he represented Bhutan at the 27th UN General Assembly and made his first speech to the United Nations, addressing issues related to the welfare of millions of children around the world. Visiting Thailand in 2006, the young prince got the sort of reception usually reserved for pop stars. Huge crowds, and even screaming girls turning out for a glimpse of the man they nicknamed Prince Charming. On December 9, 2006, the former king issued a royal edict announcing his abdication and transferred the throne to Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangchuck, who was officially crowned on November 6, 2008. Religious ceremonies and public celebrations were also held. The coronation ceremony comprised an ancient and colorful ritual, attended by few selected foreign friends of the royal family and dignitaries, including the then President of India, Pratibha Patil. The young king had a difficult task to follow. His father won international acclaim for his role in turning Bhutan into a constitutional monarchy. The new king in Bhutan did not have to try too hard to win over his people. That is because most people in the kingdom were and remain faithful royalists. Some openly wept when they heard news of his father's plans to curb the powers of the monarchy. Emotions ran similarly high when King Jigme Khesar married a commoner in October 2011. Then 21-year-old Jetson Pema, the Dragon Queen, the youngest queen in the world, is often praised for her beauty, intelligence, and kind heart. The ceremony was broadcast live, and in the land where television was only introduced in 1999, this is the largest media event ever in Bhutan. People describe them as a fairy tale couple, as then 17-year-old Wangchuck met Pema, who was only 7 years old, on a picnic trip. At that time, Pema didn't know that the big brother in front of her was a noble prince. She only knew that she fell in love with Wangchuck at first sight, so she walked to the other side and said casually, "I want to go with you. I want to marry you." And true enough, they were married years after. As polygamy is legal in Bhutan, the king is not expected to follow his father's example and take more wives. Bhutan tradition is that the king can have up to 4 wives, and the wives are mostly sisters, which is what happened to the 4th Dragon King, Jigme Singye. The king does not show any public display of affection to the queens and even being very private about it. The 4th Dragon King, Jigme Singye, only had a public ceremony, the royal wedding 11 years after they were privately married. But at the royal wedding of the current Dragon King, they were seen holding hands and even kissed. It really shows how much the king loves the queen and has a modernized mindset. Like his father, the new king stressed that it was critically important that his country complete the process of becoming a constitutional monarchy despite the reluctance of many of his subjects to see any reduction of the monarch's powers. The young king began his reign overseeing the democratization of Bhutan by presiding over the last sessions of the parliament where electoral laws, land reform, and other important issues were debated. He said that the responsibility of this generation of Bhutanese was to ensure the success of democracy. He traveled extensively to explain and discuss the draft constitution of Bhutan with the people and to encourage participation in the upcoming democratic exercises. He continues such visits, speaking mainly to young people on the need for Bhutanese to strive for higher standards in education, business, civil service, and the need for people of a small country to work harder than those of others. On February 17, 2021, he signed the abolishment of anti-homosexuality laws into law, effectively decriminalizing same-sex activity in the kingdom, after the repeal of such laws had been approved by both houses in 2020. Tashit Hetan, of the LGBT organization Queer Voices of Bhutan, welcomed the king's decision as a milestone and expressed gratitude to the king and every politician involved in making the decriminalization possible. Additionally, T. Braun of the organization Human Dignity Trust said that Bhutan had made a step forward by legalizing homosexual activity. When the country was faced with the biggest challenges of navigating the COVID-19 global pandemic, the king was at the forefront of the nation overseeing all its pandemic responses. He personally visited the vulnerable areas to ensure that the country and its people are well protected. For a country that prioritizes gross national happiness, which stresses the importance of living in harmony with nature, traditional values, and with true happiness, the first and the only carbon-negative nation in the world, and the king and queen that truly cares for their people. What more can Bhutanese people ask for? Have you been to Bhutan? Will you visit Bhutan at least once in your lifetime? Do let us know.
Please let us know if there's anything in particular you're interested in watching. If you like our videos, please subscribe and share it with your friends. Also, if you want more, just click on these videos.